Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Hey Sister Girl. So, one of the things that I notice often, particularly when I travel, is how differently people think about food. And what is nutritious, right? Most of you guys know G is out there living her best life. She's enjoying the water, she's seeing the world one port at a time. And while she's away, I've been thinking about something that's been bothering me. And that is the question is, when did food stop being looking like food and become more like food? Right? So, seriously, we walk through the grocery store today, and if you really, really look around, entire aisles are filled with products and brightly colored packages. Especially if you walk around through the middle aisles of the store, you'll see boxes and bags and pouches and frozen meals. You see snack foods, protein bars, you see the energy drinks. And I think the thing of it is that we think that this is normal, but I want us to think about what happened to our food. And so tonight I want to just dig a little bit deeper on that because just a few generations ago, I think about my grandmother, right? My grandmother had a garden and she grew strawberries. She grew all kinds of plants and foods that she ate. She went to the grocery store. She bought from the deli case. She went to the butcher. Maybe there was a dairy or a local farmer's market that you could go to. But today, when we look around our inside of our shopping carts, most of what we get comes from factories. All right. My name is Robin Heron, and I am your carnivorous grandma. And I want to welcome you to Hey Sister Girl. First of all, let me know where you are watching from down in the comments. And also, hey, our food is so bad. Our food is so bad. Christy, you are so right. Hey, Madeline, so glad that you're here. So, yeah, most of what we are eating and consuming comes from factories. And what is happening is that at the same time, we're seeing more obesity. I just want you to think back. If you're like, I'm almost 60, I'm going to be 60 in a few weeks. And when I think back to what the kids looked like when I was in school, there were very few overweight kids, and I was kind of one of those little chubby girls. I was one of them, right? But there were very few overweight kids, and so we're seeing a lot of obesity. I was on a cruise back in December, and if you you think about this, the what do they call it, the scooter brigade, right? So many people on scooters they can't walk around. So much overweight, so much more diabetes, autoimmune disease, digestive problems, anxiety, more chronic illness, more people taking multiple medications than ever before, right? And I think that eating food is a big part of the problem, right? So maybe not the only problem. I'm not saying that people are not predisposed to certain conditions and stuff like that, but I really do think that these products that we are consuming are pulling the trigger on so many of these health disorders, right? So, the question that's worth asking is, could what happened to our food it's not even a real question, let me just put it out here, have something to do what's happening to our health, right? So, yeah, we want to get a clear understanding of where we came from, how we got here, and what's the real problem? The problem is we eating a bunch of products instead of real food. All right. So, for those who might be joining for the first time, this is Hey Sister Girl. My name is Robin again. I'm a certified health coach. I'm a wife, a mom, a grandmom. I got 11 whole grandkids. And I spent most of my adult life struggling with health issues that I thought were simply a part of getting older. Let me say this, I'm not a doctor or a medical practitioner, but I am a health coach. So the things that we're going to talk about tonight come from my personal experience. They come from my coaching work and also the study that I'm doing on my own on health and nutrition. And so I want to help us begin to ask better questions. That's really what I'm all about right now. I've been talking about it a lot lately on all of the different, shows, podcasts. I've been doing a bunch of videos, walking talks, and all those kinds of things. I want us to ask better questions. And tonight's question is, what in the world happened to our food? What in the world happened to our food? Because food used to look different than what it does now, right? So I want you to think about this. You're walking into a grocery store in 1925. Most of us were not around back then. What would you find in the grocery store shelves? I think about this because I used to watch The Little House on the Prairie. Did anybody else watch that? I grew up watching Little House on the Prairie. So I've been into the general store and I saw how they did their grocery shopping, right? So, you might find some meat, eggs, butter in glass jars, glass bottles, right? Milk in glass. You might have some cheese. You might find some fresh produce depending on the time of the year. Flour was a big thing. Beans, rice, coffee. Hey, Tara. So glad that you are here. Rice, coffee, basic ingredients, what they used to call the staples. My grandmother always called it staples. But what you would not find in your grocery store shelves in 1925 was Pop Tarts. Like, Pop Tart is not food. You wouldn't find any Doritos. You definitely wouldn't find any energy drinks besides coffee, right? You wouldn't find any frozen breakfast sandwiches, protein cookies. You wouldn't find any fruit roll ups or fruit snacks or 50 different kinds of sweetened yogurt. So many of the products that dominate our grocery store shelves today didn't even exist. While people did certainly enjoy desserts, right? People ate pie. They baked cookies from scratch with all the ingredients in there and enjoyed a little every so often sweet treat. But the difference was those sweet treats were typically homemade and they were only occasional. We were not eating a whole apple pie in one day. Even today, I was just with these grandkids and their mom got them fruit, a big old thing of it, and divided it up in containers. And I'm looking at how much fruit they're eating, and I'm like, that's way too much fruit. It's like way too much fruit, right? The average Americans consumed way less sugar than we do today. So, food back in the day, back in 1925 and before that, food was food. Most things were either homemade, but it was food. It wasn't food products per se, right? So these products are designed by marketing teams. They are designed in laboratories, and they are really, really particularly designed to be super, super ultra palatable, which means they taste delicious, and also they're designed to be highly addictive. So back in the day, in 1925, on your grocery store shelves, you would find food. Now, was everything perfect? No, you still had people that were overweight, you still had diabetes, you still had people who were getting sick, and still had people who were suffering. But our food environment was dramatically different than what we experience today. Christy says, yes, I loved Little House on the Prairie and I read all the books. Yes, me too. I read all of those Laura Ingalls Wilder books. And yes, I definitely enjoyed the Little House on the Prairie. Let's see. So Christy's also saying I was watching a podcast, not even diet related, and they were talking about when people come to the US from other places like Europe, etc., they hate eating the food here. I can imagine. I can imagine because, and I'm going to just digress for a second, because of the fact that we allow so many toxins into our food system that are not allowed in other countries. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. So yeah, our food is pretty our food supply is pretty damaged. So how did we get here? Well, World War II. It changed everything. One of the biggest turning points in modern food history happened during World War II because the military had a huge problem. And that problem was, how do you feed millions of soldiers around the world, right? And so this is a big problem because we did not have foods that were shelf stable, like that you could send it across the world and it would last for months and years and sit on the shelf, right? So you need that food to be shelf stable. It needs to be easy to transport. You need to have consistency and it needs to be affordable because you're feeding millions of soldiers, right? So it also needs to be able to survive for long periods without spoiling. So to solve that problem, our food manufacturers developed a bunch of new technologies. They learned how to dehydrate foods, preserve foods, package foods, and mass produce foods. They created products that could survive transportation and storage. I think about it. Y'all ever heard of MREs? My dad was in the military. MREs, meals ready to eat, right? So there's some examples of what they created to support all these millions of soldiers. Things like powdered eggs. You ever had powdered eggs? Oh, yeah. Sometimes you get them at hotels and stuff like that. Shelf stable meals, those MREs. You got canned meats, which I do enjoy a good canned meat every now and then. Even though my friend Laura's like, don't eat that. Yes, I definitely do enjoy a good canned meat. Instant foods. And, this was incredibly useful because it helped to feed the soldiers during wartime. But then what happened? The war ended, and the food companies were left with something important. Wonder what that was. They had a bunch of factories that, was about to shut down because they didn't need them anymore for those millions of soldiers because the soldiers were coming home. They had all these factories, they had all this equipment, all these production systems, and the ability to manufacture food at an unprecedented scale. So the question became, what are we going to do with all of this? What are we going to do with all of this equipment, all these buildings? And the answer was simple. We're going to sell it to the consumer. Yeah, that's what they did. So they said, ooh, let's talk to the people about convenience, right? Because back in the day, everybody was cooking like me yesterday, cooking in the kitchen, making my own chicken soup, cream of chicken mushroom soup, because I don't want all that trash in it. In the 1950s, America came with this new idea, the idea of convenience. So what did they come up with? They came up with TV dinners. I thought I was in the first generation to have TV dinners because those, I think they were called Hungry Man TV dinners. That started back in the 50s. Instant mashed potatoes appeared. Instead of potatoes that you peel and mash yourself, instant mashed potatoes. Cake mixes, frozen meals, processed cheese. For the first time, companies began selling the idea that preparing food is old fashioned. Does anybody think like that? Preparing food is old fashioned, and technology is the future. Convenience is modern. So, for the modern woman, you're going to get that TV dinner and just pop it in the oven, and you don't have to worry about cooking the meal. So, convenience was modern, and cooking from scratch became something that many families gradually did less of. So, let's think about that. For thousands, I mean, I don't even know, maybe millions of years. I don't know how long people have been around. People prepared food. Thousands of years, people prepared food. Then, within a few decades, from the 1950s to now, we shifted toward buying food, again, food with quotes, that had already been prepared for us. That change happened incredibly fast, so fast, and people embraced it because convenience is amazing. I think about the difficulty of talking to a young mom about, trying to change the way her children eat. I'm doing that over here. And the convenience, like what are they going to eat? If they can't eat a Pop Tart and they can't eat a some pizza rolls or something that they can pull out and microwave and cook it themselves, what are they going to eat, right? So the people embrace that convenience factor to the point where like people don't even know how to cook anymore. And it saved them time. It felt modern. It fit their busy lives, a lot of women going back to work and all that kind of stuff. But convenience came with many, many consequences. So what happened is that food became big business. And this is where it gets really interesting because food companies learned something. People don't necessarily buy what's healthiest. They buy what tastes good, right? So companies started investing heavily in food science, not nutrition science, but food science. And they hired experts to study sweetness and saltiness. So you just love a little sweet and salty with a crunch. Oh yeah, that's nice. Some texture, like how do we like our textures? Mouthfeel and flavor. What about the smell or the aroma of the food that we're eating? How quickly does it melt? Like, do I have to just suck on it for a while before it melts, or does it just melt right away? And how satisfying it is to just crunch down on something, right? How much sweetness do people prefer? So the goal wasn't simply to try to feed the people. It was to create products that people would buy again and again, right? So have you guys ever heard of the bliss point? It is the point where the thing you tasting gives you so much joy, makes you just shed a little tear. It's so delicious, right? So the researchers refer to that as the bliss point. It's the perfect combination of ingredients that keeps people coming back for more. I want you to just think about that. It had nothing to do with nutrition or providing nutrition for the body. It's completely all about when you eat more, they make more money, right? So, what is the incentive that exists to help you eat less, right? So, I'm not criticizing you because this is by design, literally by design. It's business. And understanding incentives helps us understand how we arrived where we are today, right? Let me see who's saying something here. My grandma told me that when she was growing up, they only got oranges at Christmas in their stocking because there weren't oranges available, etc. I completely agree. We used to get an orange and an apple and some nuts, and then they had this ribbon candy. You could only get it at Christmas time. And if you can get it out of my grandmother, you would get a little taste of that ribbon candy. Very little candy, and mostly just like one apple, one orange, and some nuts. And you would have to crack those nuts open yourself, right? Yeah. So that's the way that it was. Yvette says, I saw this on the History Channel, I believe. When the war was over, they had so much left. What were they going to do with it? They gotta sell it and get rid of it. And then Tony is saying, fast food made people fat. Well, it's convenience food, probably more so than even fast food. And then Larry, hi Larry, so glad you're here. I'm glad you're here for the live. Welcome, and I'm glad you're here for the first time. All right. So what happened next was a low-fat revolution, right? This is another major shift. The low-fat era. Mm-mm-mm. Beginning in the 1970s and accelerated through the 1980s and 1990s, Americans were told that dietary fat was the primary problem. If you have watched some of my really old videos and some of the older Hey Sister Girls, we talk a lot about how we got here to this low fat craziness that's going on. So, yeah, we were taught that dietary fat was the primary problem, that fat was making you fat. So, what did the companies do? They responded to that messaging. Low fat yogurt, low fat cookies, low fat crackers, low fat free desserts, fat free snacks, 100-calorie packs, all this problem, right? So, the big problem with the low fat thing is fat is what makes our food taste good, right? Fat makes food taste good. So when the manufacturers removed the fat, they had to add something else. And what they added was sugar. They added sugar, corn syrup, starches, they added flavor enhancers, sweeteners, and the products, I'm not calling it food anymore. The products became lower in fat, but higher in sugar and refined carbohydrates. And what was the result? The people often consumed more, believing that they were making healthier choices. And, we talk about calories. Calorie is a construct. Our body does not work like a Bunsen burner, okay? So 100 calories of broccoli is not going to be dealt with the same in your body as 100 calories of protein or 100 calories of cookies. It's not all things created equal, right? So they're consuming more because, first of all, they're starving because they're eating low fat. Then what happened? Around that same time, the corn revolution. About the same time, corn became one of the most heavily produced crops in America. Do you guys live in I live in the Midwest, and there are so many cornfields. I remember doing corn detasseling when I was a kid. I sent my kid out there to do corn detasseling. And, I just remember how bad my skin was after doing that. And my daughter had the same effect. The skin was jacked up after being out there in the pollen fields all day, right? So, but food manufacturers discovered that there are so many good uses for corn. Corn can do a lot of things. You got high fructose corn syrup, corn starch, corn oil, maltodextrin, and multiple different additives. So corn was really, really cheap. It's a commodity. It's very, very cheap. And because it was cheap, it found its way into many products. If you look on the shelves, and you read the ingredients on so many things, you will see that high fructose corn syrup is in so many different products. But bread, sauces, dressings, snack foods, processed meals, foods that never needed sweeteners now suddenly contain sweeteners. Now they're sweet. So people didn't even realize how much added sugar that they are consuming because it's hidden under dozens, hundreds of different names, right? So, what does it have to do with our health? Let's go ahead and connect those dots. So, today, what are we seeing? We are seeing an explosion in obesity. We're seeing an explosion in type 2 diabetes. I was going down the street and I saw this bulletin board, and I think it said 1 in 3 people have diabetes or prediabetes. And I'm like, that is crazy. It's an explosion. It is a mass epidemic of too much sugar. We got more fatty liver disease. Think about this. People are dying from cirrhosis of the liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Never having drank alcohol, cirrhosis used to be like an alcoholic's problem, but now people are literally suffering with something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We're dealing with so much metabolic dysfunction. How many of us are so like right on the border of prediabetes, or have prediabetes, right? How many of us have a waist circumference that's bigger than we want it to be, right? High blood pressure, and those symptoms of metabolic dysfunction. We have, more hypertension. And I'll tell you this, I eliminated hypertension just by going on keto. I didn't even have to go all the way to carnivore to get rid of hypertension. What about those digestive issues? How many people are dealing with IBS, diagnosed or undiagnosed? You dealing with constipation and you like in the bathroom for an hour trying to go, or you got the opposite happening and you just have IBS, whether they have diagnosed it or not. And then chronic inflammation. Yes, chronic inflammation causes all manner of diseases. So people are struggling with their energy. We're struggling with our ability to be able to sleep. We're struggling with food obsession. It is just crazy. I was the one who was looking at your plate to see what are you eating. I'm a little bit less like that now, but yeah, food obsession. So while I will say that there is not one single cause, I think one of the biggest factors of what is happening to our society has to do with chronic overconsumption of sugar. And we just have a literal overconsumption problem, right? So, yes, health is complex. Um, and this modern food environment is unlike anything humans have ever experienced. This is a new phenomenon, right? So, because for most of human history, ultra processed foods did not exist. We're literally experimenting on ourselves by incorporating all of these ultra processed foods into our diet. And what I can see with my very own eyes is that this experiment is failing. This is a failing experiment, right? Because today, ultra processed foods make up a significant portion of our average American diet. And that is really worth paying attention to. You need to think about what is it that you are consuming that is not food, okay? And it really is personal for me because I had this eczema. That was the one thing that showed on my face and in my hands all the time. I thought all of these different things were different issues. Like I had the eczema, I had the hand eczema, I had IBS, I had anxiety. I thought all of this were all separate things, right? So go to the doctor for this and get a shot. Go to the doctor for that, get a steroid treatment. Go to the doctor for the other thing, get some pills to take for the rest of your life, right? I thought these were all separate problems. And come to find out, it's all tied together. They're all symptoms of the same issue. Symptoms of the same issue. I didn't even think that they might be connected. And in fact, I asked my dermatologist, I said, "Dermatologist, I think when I eat certain things, this eczema gets worse." And they said, "No, it does not." It does not. It's not food related. You guys, that was a lie from the pit, right? So I didn't realize that all of this was connected together. All of this that's going on inside the body, the IBS and the anxiety and the eczema and everything was tied together, right? And I didn't really think to ask the question of whether what I was putting into the body, what I was eating every day could be contributing to what I was experiencing. I didn't think like and to me now it makes so much sense. It really just it makes so much sense that what you eat is going to impact your quality of life. It will impact your mental health. It's going to impact your weight. All I thought about was, I need to lose 10 pounds. I need to lose 20 pounds. Oh no, and now I need to lose 50 pounds. You know what I mean? I just never really thought about it other than the fact that I didn't think like, let me look at these ingredients and see what's in here. I never even thought to do that or how much sugar's in it. No, I was the one with the big bowl of Cheerios. Y'all remember this? Big bowl of Cheerios, heart healthy Cheerios, with a cup of sugar in the bottom of the bowl and milk. and scooping that sugar off the bottom of the bowl, not even realizing like my body can only handle 1 teaspoon of added sugar per day. I didn't even know that. February 22nd, 2023, I began a different journey and I moved toward a primarily meat based way of eating. So, what did that mean? It meant that I removed so much. Removed ultra processed foods that had become like a normal life. Like Cheetos, Fritos, that stuff was my jam. Doritos, even, not my favorite, but definitely those Fritos. I really liked those. It was a normal life thing, you know? And something literally remarkable happened when I did this. The IBS went away. In 31 days, the IBS went away. Y'all, I'm gonna just take these glasses off so you can see. Them two black eyes, they're gone, right? The eczema improved. In 9 months, that eczema, those two black eyes were gone. My anxiety decreased significantly and continues to decrease. Now, interestingly enough, the one time that I had a very severe panic attack since I have been on carnivore is when I ate some mint. I put a little bit of mint in my water, sparkling water with mint. I thought, "Ooh, that's going to be so good. It's going to be refreshing." Yada, yada, yada. Next thing you know, my anxiety was through the roof. So that did not work for me. Those plants do not work for me. Racing thoughts went away. I started to be able to just like my phone ring and I go ahead and send that call to voicemail. I used to answer every single call because I was positive that something had happened, right? Cured my blood pressure problem with keto. And literally, my relationship to food is completely different. Like the food is no longer controlling me. It's literally no longer controlling me. I am not like bound to having to even to eat necessarily. Some days I just don't even eat. Some days I'll eat a couple of meals. Some days I'll eat 3 meals. I'm not bound to it, right? That relationship with food changed. And I don't need to have any snacks. I really don't need to have any snacks, which is unusual, right? So that was my experience. Everybody's story is different, but what I consistently see within people who change to primarily meat-based way of eating and elimination of ultra-processed foods in particular is that their symptoms get better. I consistently see that across the board. I've interviewed, I don't know, probably 75 people on this channel, and I definitely see that across the board. Our body knows what's wrong before we do, and it is trying to talk. It is saying something is going on here. I wonder if I got my picture. Let me bring it up. Let me bring the picture up so you guys can know what I'm talking about. The body is saying something is wrong here. Something is wrong over there on that left-hand side. And I could not discern what my body was trying to tell me, right? I could not figure out what my body was trying to say. All I knew was I just need to lose some weight. I just need to lose some weight. And that really was not the case. All of these products were causing me a huge problem. So, whether are we willing to listen to what our body is saying? Because if you have illnesses, remember, I'm not a doctor, but if you have illnesses, your body is saying something, right? And you have to get smart enough to understand what it is that your body is trying to tell you. My body was trying to tell me you can't handle plants, you can't handle dairy. I can have a little bit of butter. That's it. If I go too far on the butter, it's going to be a problem. But I can't have no cheese. And cheese was my jam. I loved cheese. Cheese was my thing, you know, but no cheese, no sour cream, all of the fun stuff. And really, basically, you can eat meat. That's what my body was saying. When you eat meat, you thrive. When you eat plants, you suffer. Your skin blisters up. You get these two black eyes. You get the stomach problem. I can tell you that I've accidentally got some lettuce. Now, I used to hate lettuce. I always hated lettuce. That iceberg lettuce, I'm like, this stuff is useless. It doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't do anything for me. But since I've been carnivore, I accidentally got some one day because they put it underneath my burger patties that I ordered at McDonald's. And I ate them anyway, and my hands blistered up. That's lettuce. Same thing, gastric distress with broccoli, cauliflower. Plants do not agree with me. Okay. So it could be the same for you. You never know until you take them out and see. All right. So I have a question here. Have I tried raw cheese or other dairy? I have not tried raw, Christy. We do not get raw here in Michigan. But if I do ever get some, there is a place here that one of my friends was telling me about where she was able to get some like milk fresh out the cow. She said it was so good. So I might have to try that. But yeah, so I've tried goat cheese, I've tried lamb cheese, I've tried all the different kinds of variations of different cheeses because I love cheese, right? But cheese does not love me, so I don't tolerate it. One of these days, if I get a chance to try it, I'm gonna make a video. Yeah. So I don't want to give you guys a list of foods to avoid. You heard my list. There's a bunch of stuff I don't tolerate anymore. But I want to leave you with the questions, right? So we should be asking these questions. Where did this food come from? Where did the food come from? Look at the back of the package. How many ingredients does it have? If it has a list of ingredients as long as your arm and you can't read half of them, you can't tell what they are, maybe you shouldn't be eating that. It's probably an ultra processed food. What about would my grandmother recognize this food? Now, my grandmother, let's see, she was born in the early 1900s. She probably would recognize some of the foods, but it's not something that she would grow in her garden, right? What about my great grandmother, my great great grandmother? Would they recognize it as food? No. Is this food literally nourishing my body? Is it giving my body what it needs? And, or is it just tickling my fancy? Is this just tickling my fancy? Like, it tastes so good. It's hitting my bliss point. It's so delicious, right? Because food should not necessarily be entertainment. That's not what it's meant for. It's meant to nourish your body and help you to live and thrive, right? Thank you, Tara. I will love to have some raw kefir and kefir cheese when you come and see me this summer. I cannot wait. Yeah, because when we look at the rise in chronic disease and when we look at the transformation of the food supply and what has happened over these last 100 years, it is fair to ask whether these things are connected. We need to think that it is. It's not our bodies failing us. We've been treating obesity like some kind of personality problem, haven't we? Yes, we have. We've been treating it like it's a personality problem. Like I just don't have no self-control. I don't have any willpower. But maybe the food is talking to you and it's forcing you to continue down that path until you can just abstain from that and then take a step back and change the way of eating, right? So it's not our body that's failing us, it is the food system that has failed us, right? Maybe, just maybe, we have been part of the largest food experiment in human history. I say maybe with a little grain of salt because it's very clear to me that have been part of a food experiment and this experiment has failed and we need to recognize that and get back to eating natural foods, right? So what I'm seeing on the shelves right now is I'm seeing Doritos with no dye. Doritos Bear, I think they call it. All these different bear products. They're naked. They don't have the color, the yellow dye coloring on them. But I haven't looked at the back. When I go to the store next time, I'll look at the back and see how long is the list of ingredients on that. Because it's still processed, ultra processed, packaged food, and I'm sure that it still hits that bliss point because that's what those scientists are paid to make it do. Don't matter if the coloring is taken out of it. So I appreciate you guys being here tonight for Hey Sister Girl. Thank you so much. And if this conversation resonated with you, I'm asking you to go ahead and hit that like button. Share this video with somebody that you know needs to hear about this issue. And then also you can join us on our Hey Sister Girl Facebook community. I'm also a health coach, so if you're interested in health coaching, you can reach out to me at CG Health Coach, where Coach Sherrod and I would love to work with you. And I do want to mention that I am doing a 7-day sugar-free challenge. We're at the middle of the month of June, but we are offering a 7-day sugar-free challenge for anybody who wants to try it out. Try going without sugar for 7 days and see what happens. Actually, Coach Sherrod started out on the 7-day challenge, and here he is a year later and feeling great and have become a health coach himself. So if you're looking for that kind of support, just let me know because my mission is simple. It's changing minds and healing bodies. I want to also remind you tonight about Impact, Meet Up and Eat Up with Carnivorous Grandma and Friends. Here is my flyer. I really hope to see you here in Kalamazoo, Michigan on September 5th, 2026. We have an amazing, amazing lineup for you. We got Dr. Kiltz coming in, Dr. Nelson, Nurse Laura, and a variety of different oh my gosh, so many different people are coming from all over the world. A lot of influencers are coming in, and we are going to be premiering the Healing Humanity documentary as part of Impact this year. Carrie Mann and Jen and Emma, and I think Katie are all going to be here on site in Kalamazoo. And so I hope to see you here. You can find that information up on my website at cghealthcoach.com. Also, I hope you took a screenshot of that QR code. Our tickets are up on Eventbrite, and I'm telling y'all, this is going to sell out because we're 3 months out and we're over halfway sold out. So you guys, get your tickets and come to Impact. So yeah, let's make sure that we keep on listening, keep on learning, keep on asking questions about what's happening with our food and what it is that we should be eating in order to thrive and be healthy in this world. I'm really looking to see people change their health trajectory by changing the way they eat. All right, you guys, it's been Hey Sister Girl. We'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.